I've been looking forward to this one for a really long time, almost a year in fact. The RIA 5.0 is such an interesting design and such a fascinating handgun. If you're a gun guy, regardless of personal tastes and preferences, you've got to go, wow, that's very interesting. Of course, there's good interesting and there's bad interesting, right? I'm thinking this is probably good interesting by everything that I've seen so far. This is the RIA 5.0E, brand new for 2024, and the E stands for enhanced. What is enhanced? Well, the most obvious things are that it is now cut to accept an optic. So you can see the cover plate right here. I'm not going to put an optic on it today. I like to do my first shooting with the open sights on pretty much every gun if I can. So that's what I'm going to do today. There will be a part 2 in which I will put an optic on it and maybe do some comparisons. They've lightened up the slide a little bit with some lightning cuts. That's going to help the reciprocation, and it's also, you know, eye candy. I'm not going to lie to you. They look fantastic. And the other thing it really does is gives you an excellent grip at the front of the pistol. All right, so I'm chomping at the bit to shoot this thing. I have not yet fired a shot through it. Going to do that right now. All right, no particular objective in mind. I'm just going to have at it at the steel array downrange, which, by the way, is from TA targets. And if you're in the market for steel targets, definitely look down below because there's a discount code that you can use, and that is significant. It'll save you serious money. All right, on we go. First shots. RIA 5.0. Trying to figure out what type of hold it likes. Okay. There we go. It seems like it's hitting a little low compared to what I would normally expect from the sights. So I'm going to continue to play around with that here a little bit. I may have to put some paper up just to get a good idea how much it's off and in which direction. I'm going to keep at that center target though for a minute. Wow. My first thoughts, wow, what a nice gun to shoot. I mean, it's got nice weight to it. It's got an aluminum frame, very generous sized aluminum frame. And that barrel, that square barrel, is got a lot of weight out front. So it's got a really nice balance to it. Feels good in the hand. You would think it might feel front heavy. And maybe it would have if it wasn't for these lightning cuts, but they're not taking that much weight out. So it's just got a nice balance in the hand. It is a little front heavy, but not as much as I would have thought just looking at a picture of the gun. It shoots very smooth, and it, of course, shoots very flat as well. Let's continue on. I got another magazine here, burning a hole in my pocket. All right, let me try these plates again. See if I can figure out where I need to hold. Hey, got a twofer. I was never able to get my hands on the first edition of the RIA 5.0, but not many were. There were even discussions about whether this gun was really just vaporware. Well, it looks like the vapor has cleared, and the 5.0E is an improved version of the pistol. Okay, I got some paper down range at 12 yards. And I'm going to just shoot offhand and see if I can figure out exactly where this thing is sighted. I'm going to hold a dead center hold on that target. I think that'll be the easiest way to at least start out. Well, I'm going to put the bullseye, the white bullseye, right on top of my front sight. Okay, where am I? Looks like I'm a few inches low. Are they consistent? Okay, well one's dead on. The other are a couple inches low, but I'm going to keep going here so I can figure it out. You know, it might be me. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I know that's unheard of, but all right, so that's 10 rounds. And even from back here, I can tell that the majority of that group is a few inches low, and that's with a tight 6 o'clock hold, again, on that white bullseye area of the target. So I would say a center hold, maybe. I'm not a huge fan of a center hold, only because you tend to obscure the target you're shooting at. You know, if you got to put your sight over the bullseye, you lose your perspective. At least I do, anyway. And, so okay, it looks like a center hold, and possibly even, dare I say, a 12 o'clock hold. Let's take a look at what is new for the E, or enhanced version. That's what the E stands for, and some of the main specs and features. Probably the most significant upgrade is the Ready for Optics cut in the slide. Rock Island says it's a proprietary design and plate. I'll try to get an optic on it soon for part 2 of this review. The barrel's been upgraded to match grade, and if you look closely, you can see the slight change in the geometry of the barrel and the slide. It's basically now a perfect square. The front of the slide has been notched out with lightning cuts, as I mentioned at the range. They did a really nice job here. I like both the look and the feel. It has a new finish made of diamond-like carbon coating that should not only preserve the metal really well, but add some lubricity too. A lot of the parts of the RIA 5.0E are handcrafted and fitted. This is done in the United States by American workers. There are so many interesting and unique elements to this handgun, I'm afraid that if I list them all, it'll bore you too much. But here are a few. The very unique recoil system, in addition to the non-tilting barrel design, make this a born race gun candidate. The gun stays flat shot after shot, and it feels remarkably smooth. The slide is carbon steel, and the frame is a combination of aluminum alloy and glass-filled nylon polymer. This is akin to the old STI design with some of its own unique elements. The texture of the polymer grip is similar to, I'd say, an M&P or a P320 in terms of its grip and pattern. The gun has good weight without feeling heavy, and despite so much steel out front, it has a well-balanced quality. Magazines are 17 rounds. I don't know whether they'll be extended beyond that capacity available in the future. Very well could be. Okay, 10 more rounds. I want to satisfy my curiosity and just have a better idea where to hold. So I'm going to cover up the bullseye this time. All right. Mags not only drop free, they fly out of there. Definitely much more centered on the target. So, all right, it likes a center hold. All right, I got that figured out. So now I'm going to just kind of let loose and have a little bit of fun. So I figured out where the aim point is. We're not here to see how well I can shoot. We all know I suck. So, I will stipulate that. But I want to run this gun. So let's do that a little bit. Let me just try some triple taps. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is a gun you could definitely run fast. The trigger's spec'd at 4.5 pounds, and that was my guess when I was shooting it at the range before I saw that number. And this loaner that I have measured an average of exactly that when I put the gauge on it. I field stripped the gun twice. Once before shooting it, just for general inspection and lubing, and again after shooting it for cleaning. It was easier the second time, like learning a new dance, but there are a lot of extra steps involved. This is not a traditional gun. I won't demo the takedown for you here, maybe in part 2, if you want me to. If I get enough requests, I'll do it. But you can see from the photos I took here that there are some unusual parts. Not pictured as a small pin that I was afraid to lose, so I didn't want to put it out for the photo. My advice is to go slow, have the instructions handy, and be willing to take a short break if you need to. I promise that it's hardest the first time. I'm calling it very successful. I learned a few things about the gun, which is important. That's why you do that first range trip with a gun. I'm definitely going to put a lot more rounds through this thing, like hundreds of more rounds. So I'm at about 150 rounds so far today. I'm probably going to stop there as far as, trying to shoot the steel targets, trying to put anything on paper and things like that. I've done that. So I will reset up my cameras for the eye candy shots, you know, the tight profiles of the gun, so that you can really see the gun shooting. I like to show you that stuff, and I think you probably like to look at that. That's usually good for about another 50 rounds right there. So I'll have about 200 rounds through the gun today. So that's really going to kind of make this a first look from a range perspective at the gun. It will definitely be back out. I initially planned for this to be a two-part review. I had no doubt that this was going to take part 1 and part 2, both fairly thorough videos to properly cover this gun. There's a whole lot to talk about. So when I come back out to the range next, my plan is put an optic on it, maybe compare it to some other stuff. You have to compare it to a CZ. I just got to figure out which one would be the best comparison of the ones that I own, and maybe a couple other things as well. So I'm leaning toward competition handguns because I think that's where this is going to want to be. I think this is going to want to be a competition handgun. You know, in the hands of a seasoned shooter for, you know, competition, man, this thing would be a flat shooter. I mean, it's a pretty flat shooter for me, and I'm not really even trying to hold it flat, but it's just, I can tell it's a flat shooter. The trigger is the trigger feels nicer in live fire than it does in dry fire, if that makes sense to any of you. It's got a fairly long take up, and then a really nice break, but there's just a little bit of sponge to the break. Okay, it's not the crispest, but it feels nice and light. I'll put a gauge on it. I wouldn't be surprised if it's, you know, 4.5 pounds, maybe, something like that. And then your reset is, again, a little longer than a lot of competition guns, but it's not bad at all. And it puts you right back at the wall with a nice tactile feedback. And you're right at that break. So trigger is very nice. I wouldn't call it excellent, but I will call it very nice. I would give the trigger like an 8 out of 10, and just so you know where my where my benchmark is on that, I would consider, like, you know, the CZ competition guns, you know, the TSO, for example, to be a 10 out of 10. So that's kind of where, and I would put this close to that, but not quite. This is a hammer-fired gun, so you're going to get a little different feel than you do from a striker-fired gun. Kudos to Rock Island Armory for taking this unique design from imagination to reality. That's not a road that many manufacturers are willing to walk these days. I'm extremely impressed with the innovation of the 5.0E, as well as the fit and finish of the gun. This gun was loaned to me for review by Rock Island Armory, and I don't get to keep it. Nobody gets to approve my review. That said, many thanks to the good folks at Armscore, Rock Island Armory, for making this available. You know, they could have priced this gun at $2,000. You get to party like it's 1998. I'm sure that's a question we all have. Is it worth that price? Well, I won't give my opinion yet because I'm still testing, but I will next time. That's it for now. I am planning a part 2 that will include shooting it with an optic mounted on it and really testing its accuracy. Probably will also do a comparison or two. So if you don't already subscribe to the channel, now's your chance to smush both the like and the subscribe buttons, and you'll be ready when the next one comes around. This is just an opinion. Thanks for watching.